Oh my God, you know what the best part of this is? I have this whole long thing planned about the Occupy Wall Street and the financial crisis. And okay, how much time do I have, Carol? Like 6 minutes? All right. All right. First of all, the death of privacy. You know they got these license plate things? The Washington Post had this article. I think I linked to it on my Twitter page. I may not have. I'll link to it tonight again. They have these license plate readers now, Carol, where they set them up all over town, and they can read license plates at like, 1 million a minute, something like that. The exact details are fuzzy. But seriously, they can read 1 million license plates a second, okay? But there's been no debate about this. And now they're popping up everywhere. And there's positives to this, Carol, because, you're looking for somebody who's been kidnapped by probably their father or mother or something, because most kids are kidnapped by relatives. But they can find them quicker by, there's this network of cameras that can read license plates. That car's there. So there's a positive side. But the other side is that they're collecting all this data about which cars are where, when. And there are no laws about basic stuff like how long can they collect this data or keep this data in storage, right? Who's allowed access to this data, right? I mean, this is not paranoid, oh, my privacy, and it's like, you're too worried about, but no, these are basic questions. The cops are collecting all this data about where you're driving and where you're not driving. I don't know if this is happening, and I think it's happening in Raleigh too. There are a couple places where they have these license plate readers. But it's all over certain parts of the country, and pretty much it's going to be everywhere. But the law hasn't caught up to the technology yet. So basic questions, reasonable, perfectly reasonable questions like how long can they store your whereabouts? Are they even allowed to take pictures of license plates? Well, yeah, you're out in public, and anyone can take pictures of other people out in the public sphere, but who has access to this data? It is potentially very dark. Right, Carol? Who has access to everywhere your car has been over the past 6 months? And how long is that data stored? There should be laws regulating who has access to that data and how long that data is stored. If you're not arrested for anything, your information should be wiped from the system. And that should be the law. But we haven't caught up. So I'm not, I'm reconciling myself to the fact that these license plate readers are going to be everywhere soon. But I'm just suggesting that there's a reasonable middle ground where the police department should not be allowed to store that data forever, your whereabouts permanently on their database, in their computers, everywhere. You're not even under suspicion of a crime. But the government knows everywhere you've been? No. Every 2 weeks, that data gets wiped. 3 weeks? Well, these are debatable points. But I suggest to you they're reasonable debatable points. And more importantly, who has access to that data? Only a very few specific people in specific positions should have access to that data. Now, we all know that even that law being written is not going to stop hackers from getting into that database. We just know that. Or people bribing cops. We saw it in England recently. Bribing cops happens every day all over the world. Sorry, cops, it's true. We should know about this. All right. And only certain, and at least when the violation happens, we have legal recourse to sue when that violation happens, maybe. All right. All right, I'll tell you what. Instead of trying to rush in 3 minutes, I'm just going to point you to my Twitter page. When you have a relative, can you put up, I think it's number 5, Carol? When you have a relative who tells you that the TARP program, the bailout money, was all paid back, you need to send them to this page, and it's linked on my Twitter page. Can you show this, Carol? It's a Bloomberg article. Whoops, there it is. Oh, that's bright. Yeah, there we go. See, and this was a graph that didn't show up on the library printer. Secret Fed loans gave banks $13 billion undisclosed to Congress. Now that's $13 billion in profits. What really happened was, here was TARP, there's $700 billion, And then in addition to TARP, which, oh, it's been paid back, there was another, literally, I'm not making this up, hundreds of billions of dollars in below market rate loans that the Fed gave to banks that it was telling everyone were in good shape. And the banks were telling everyone we're in good shape. And Congress was making decisions about these bailouts based on the information that these banks were in good shape. And the Fed was keeping all of this secret. And Bloomberg, I know it's Mayor Bloomberg's news outlet, but still, the Bloomberg network went to court to get the secret data. And Bernanke, they all fought it tooth and nail. Geithner, they fought it tooth and nail. And the court said this data should be public. And now, years after the fact, in 2011, this happened in 2008, 2009, 2007, 2008, mostly 2008, all this money was being given to the banks at below market rates. They made $13 billion on this, and it was hundreds of billions in loans. Anytime you have a relative who tells you that TARP was paid back, say, what about the below market rate loans, the hundreds of billions of dollars in below market rate loans that the Fed fought to keep secret that has just now come out? We knew about this, but we didn't know the extent of it and which banks got how much. And the Bloomberg article, which is linked on my Twitter page, there it is, goes into extensive detail. I swear to God, Brad Miller is quoted, our NC rep, is quoted as saying, you know what? How much?
30 seconds.
30 seconds. Brad Miller's quoted as saying, you know, there are a lot of people who would have changed their vote on the bailout if this would have been known. All right. Next week, we'll go into more detail on Occupy Wall Street. Take care of each other during the holidays. And be good to yourself.